Hey y'all, it's Bailey and this is Reclaim Grace. I'm so excited y'all decided to click on my video today. We're going to be doing some more thrift flips and we're going to be using the new summer 2024 IOD collection. So let's get started. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's get started with project one. Is this large picture I picked up from Salvation Army for $2.49. This thing was filthy. So I started it out like I start out all my projects by giving it a good clean with some Windex. Let that dry, took it outside and gave it a quick coat of shellac primer. We are going to give this picture a good coat of Fusion Mineral Paint. This color is Victorian Lace, and I'm getting around the handle really well. And just with that coat, I was just trying to get a base layer on. And as you can see, the second and third coat, I'm going in with the chippy brush, and I will pounce to get some beautiful texture. This is a beautiful paint inlay IOD just released, and I can't pronounce the name, but I think it's Delft Traditions in the blue. So we're just going to mist the inlays on the paint side, and I'm using my polyacrylic in matte, just putting a nice even layer down, and then applying my paint inlay right into that wet top coat, and I'm just making a few little relief cuts because this picture is a little concaved and round, and I just want to make sure my paint inlay makes really good contact with that sealer. I'm going to turn it around and do the other side as well, and then I will sit this to the side and let it dry. Unfortunately, I lost the clip of me peeling off the paint inlay, but we have another project using it later on. You will see that gorgeous reveal when you peel it off. It's my favorite part. Cannot believe I deleted it, but it's okay. I'm taking this textured stamp by IOD, stamping it with some black ink and just giving our picture some beautiful crackle. But I also want to add a different kind of crackle. So I'm going to use the Paint Contour two-step crackle system, and I'm just brushing it off in a cross hatch motion and then letting that dry for about 30 minutes and then applying step two in the exact same way. And you can see that gives some gorgeous deep cracks. So now I want to emphasize those cracks. I can't talk today. So I'm going to use the Van Dyke Brown glaze by Paint Couture, and I'm just making sure I get the glaze deep into the cracks, and I'm going to use a baby wipe to get off the excess that I don't want on the picture. And I do this all around and let that dry, and this baby was done. I think it turned out really cool. It definitely looks like an older piece that has a lot of crazing and cracking on it. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. I priced this, I believe, at $19.95. Project 2 is this ceramic picture frame I picked up for like 75 cents at a yard sale. We're going to just get all the stickers off, clean it really well, and I'm going to protect this backer and the back of the picture frame because I am selling my pieces, so I want it to look really professional looking and finished when we get done. I'm going to use this mold. This isn't from the new release. It's from the actual spring release, and I cannot pronounce this one either, but it's just some leaves and branches. I dusted it really well with my cornstarch, and I'm just warming up my IOD air dry clay in my hands, and I will start smushing it into the mold, and I will use my thumbs to slide off the excess clay. IOD has really nice molds because of the ease of being able to flatten out a back with that micro rim. So just use your thumbs to get the excess off, flex the mold, flip it over, and let gravity help the molds fall right out. I'm going to use a Type Bond Quick and Thick. It comes in the blue and gray bottle to glue these molds on. I'm just going to use my fingers to brush the glue to the edges, and I will place these on the frame where I think they look really good and press lightly to make sure the molds make good contact with the frame. I'm going to be using DIY Prairie Gray as my paint for this frame. I'm just got a brush and I'm going to pounce so I can get some texture along where the molds are not at. And then I will come back in and paint the molds separately with a softer bristle brush because my my clay at this point is still wet. So I let that first coat dry, and now I'm coming back in with my second coat, pouncing some more because I want this frame to have lots of texture because of this step right here. I'm going to be using Victorian lace again, and I am going to dry brush all the molds to bring out that beautiful detail on these molds and the texture we created on the frame. My vision for this piece was for it to look like a concrete frame. So once that was dry, I'm just going to seal it with DIY clear wax, getting into all the nooks and crannies and sealing that DIY paint. And then I will come back with a blue shop towel and buff off that excess. I traced around the glass to get my measurements for this piece of paper, and now we're going to break out the new stamp Ephemera type, and this is the first time I'm using this stamp, so I'm going to give it a good seasoning by sanding it with some light grit sandpaper. This will help the stamp grab the ink better. You only do this once. When you open your stamps, do it one time and you never have to do it again. I'm using my IOD black ink and applying it to my stamp. Flip it over, commit, try not to shift, and I held it with one hand and used my brayer with the other. I let the ink dry for a few minutes, and now we are bringing out this gorgeous new transfer, Rose Botanicals. Man, this transfer packet is gorgeous. I just picked the transfer out of there, applied it to the paper, and I will slide this paper behind the glass so it does not need to be sealed. It is very well protected behind the glass to the frame. I think this turned out really, really pretty. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. I have mixed feelings about this project right here, but I threw it in there just so I could give y'all an idea and so I could get y'all's opinion about it. But I started off with this vase from Salvation Army. I believe it was $3.99, and we are breaking out the new Persephone mold. So with this mold, it requires a lot of clay, a lot of clay. Or you could use resin, but since I was going on this curved surface, I just thought the clay would be better. So I'm just packing that clay in there, even using my brayer to kind of smooth that back down, using my thumbs to get the excess clay off, and then flipped it over and it just fell right out. Using the same glue I always use, the Type Bond Quick and Thick, and just applying a nice good coat of glue to the back of the mold. I did tape this for about 10 minutes, but I knew I really needed to go ahead and paint this mold because with that thick of clay, it would crack a lot. So after about 10 minutes of the glue sitting up there, it had a good tack to it. So I went ahead and painted it, and then I left it overnight to dry. The next day, I whipped up the same paint, Prairie Gray, and some salt wash to paint the glass and give it lots of texture because I want to make this look like a concrete urn. So the salt wash and DIY paint stick perfectly fine to glass. I mean, that paint will virtually stick to anything. And I did paint the inside of the urn too. And I gave everything 3 coats. Now my mold has shrank. So I just took some of that mixture and a popsicle stick and I'm just pushing it in that crack, and I'm also going to drag it across other areas of the urn to just give it different kind of texture. After everything was dry, I brought out my Victorian lace again and started dry brushing along the details of the mold and everywhere on the urn to make it resemble concrete. Once everything was dry, I'm giving it a quick seal with my matte polyacrylic. Then coming in with my DIY dark wax, I'm going to age this up a bit. You could have went either white wax or dark wax with this, but I just decided to do dark wax. I'm just going to apply even coat all over and get my blue shop towel and buff off all the excess. And that is it for this project. I priced it at $16.95. The mold definitely shrunk a lot. You can see that up top. I think it turned out okay, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. Project 4 is a wooden planter I picked up on the 301 yard sale. I gave it a good clean and a scuff sand, and now I'm coming in with that same Victorian lace, and I'm going to give everything 3 coats, going around that little detail on the front, the keyhole detail. Once my paint was up there, I decided it was too crisp for me, so I decided to distress all the raised edges along those ridges and around the bottom and the top edge. So now I'm cutting out some more of the Delft Traditions blue paint inlay, misting those paint inlays like I usually do. This just helps the fibers of the paper release and helps you with wrinkles. Apply my top coat and then gently lay my paint inlay paint side down into the sealer, and I went all the way around the planter, and I added this cute trim paint inlay around the edges. I zapped them dry with my heat gun, and once they start to kind of shrivel up like that, you know they're dry and they become cloudy looking. I misted it and then gently peeled each inlay off. And I sat these inlays to the side because they can be used a second and sometimes third time. So you really get your money's worth out of these. And I think, oh my goodness, I just love that. It turned out really, really good. The top, I did get some distressing, but I like vintage vibe, so I think it turned out really cute. I priced this at $12.95. If y'all are enjoying these thrift flips, give this video a like and consider subscribing. I really, really appreciate y'all's support. All right, moving along. Project 5 is this mirror I picked up for $5. It had some damage. This popped off on the ride home, so I just using some gel super glue to fix that up, and I'm going to put a little bit of spackle in the damaged parts. I let that dry and then sanded it. I mixed me up some milk paint, and if you've never used milk paint before, it's 1 part powder to 1 part water. Mix it really well and let it thicken up for about 10 minutes. And I'm going to apply 3 coats to this mirror, and on the last coat I will zap it with my heat gun, and I flipped it around to make sure that back looks good too. And I'm sorry about my light right there. It's about to go away in the next clip. I'm just giving my milk paint a good distressed and cleaned my glass really well, because these transfers, it needs to be put down on really clean glass. This is the new gold gilded transfers IOD just released. This one is the Etiquettes transfer. I picked one out, cut it out of my book, and I'm just cleaning this mirror one last time. And these transfers work just like all the other transfers do. You just peel that protective backing off, and you just start on one side, and you need to ride the wave. You need to lift up and rub at the same time, especially with these transfers that have a lot of detail in them. It helps it release so much easily. So I did burnish it with that protective backing, and now I'm going in with my dark oil wax and sealing my milk paint, and that is it. I love that crackle. This did not last long in my booth. I put it there on a Friday, and it was gone by the end of the business day Saturday. And I'm really excited to experiment with these gold transfers for Christmas. So it's just super exciting. And y'all definitely watch out for next week's video, because I am putting out a Christmas in July video. The last day of July is coming to you. All right, project 6. This is the last project today. This is a little accent table I had in my booth. I put some decoupage paper on it, and it ended up bleeding. The wood ended up bleeding through it, and it just won't sell in. So I brought it home, gave everything a really good sanding and a good clean. And now I'm going in with Fusion Bellwood, and I'm going to give the whole table 2 good coats of this bellwood color, the legs, underneath it, and the top. If y'all are local to me, I sell all my thrift store makeovers, vintage finds, IOD products, and JRV products in both of my vendor booths, Coppermill Mercantile in Kinston, North Carolina, and Lola's Vignettes in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Plus, both of these locations sell Fusion mineral paint. Once my 2 coats of paint were dry, I'm breaking out the Ephemeral type stamp again. I absolutely love this stamp. I'm inking it up with my black IOD ink, and I'm just going to use my brayer so I get even pressure, and I guess I'm using my hand the last time. Either way is fine. Just make sure you hold it with one hand and rub with the other so your stamp doesn't shift on you. I'm going to be using this beautiful yellow rose from the Rose Botanical transfer. I just laid it down on the tabletop, rubbed all over, and now I'm just starting with one edge, slowly lifting so I can see if something didn't transfer. I'll lay it back down if it didn't, and just continue pulling up and rubbing down at the same time. I sealed this. I just really needed to seal the transfer because the paint is all in one. I just sealed the top with some wax, and this baby is done. I priced this at $45.99, and it is available at Lola's Vignettes in Goldsboro. And I really hope y'all enjoy today's thrift flips. I will talk to y'all in the comments. And if you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. What was your favorite project today? I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.